Get all the way done with my shower. I realize I don't have a towel. So I'm standing in this room, naked and wet. And I was like, how do I solve this problem? Alright guys, welcome to the very first episode of Lawless. I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm Hayley.
I guess so. Is that it? That's your whole intro?
That's it. That's my introduction.
That's
I'm
it,
Hayley.
guys. I'm Hayley.
My last name's Marta, if that matters. And that's it. That's all you get.
Oh, now it's on the internet.
As if it wasn't before.
Fair. My name's Christian. Last name Silva. And
Is it though?
It's, as far as you know. And we are both students at the University of Utah's Law School. The
S.J. Quinney
College of Law.
All right, so in today's episode, because we are first-year law students right now, we are going to talk about questions that I guess people going into law school kind of have.
Yeah.
Like what we want to talk about after having been through our first semester. So,
Okay.
who's in charge of questions?
Then I will start us off. If you could go back to the summer before your 1L year and tell yourself anything as far as advice, what would it be?
Sleep. Take a vacation. Relax. And I probably wouldn't read as much because when you get to law school, you read a ton. And I read a lot over the summer because I like to read. And then I got to school and I was like, what? This is a lot of reading. So that's my advice. Don't read very much over the summer. Just relax, like go lay on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, that's very fair. For perspective, our constitutional law book this semester is 1,900 pages.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
so,
monster.
Yeah, so don't read, kids. I think for me, the biggest thing was, like, take a vacation. Because, like, my family is, like, tried to go on vacations and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, sorry, can't. I'm a slave to these books over here. So I think my biggest thing would have been take a vacation, chill, don't do anything else.
That's a really good idea.
Just relax.
Yeah, I worked like 3 jobs over the summer, and that was the worst thing in the world. I wouldn't recommend that either. Like, just quit your job, save up some money beforehand, quit your job, and just chill, because you're going to want the break and want to have been, like, rested up, ready to go by the time school starts.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, what do you do to manage your time? Do you keep a schedule? Do you plan out I just got back from this panel where we talked to first incoming law students, and one of the girls next to me, she said that she even plans her naps. Like, she has her schedule and she blocks off all her time, including okay, 4:30, it's nap time.
That's
and then
brilliant.
when I wake up, I'm going to go do this, this, and this.
Wow.
And so what kind of things do you do to manage your time?
I mean, I think I start off the semester super ambitious and saying that I'm going to use a planner and be a great student. And a couple weeks in, I'm like, I kind of use my planner, kind of mix it with my phone calendar, that sort of thing. But I think it's hard to say that you can manage your time the exact same every single week because it changes so much week to week. Your classes are still at the same time, but different assignments and then different things at lunch. We have sync sessions that we have to go to, which is basically little informational, I don't even know what you would call them.
Yeah, they're
little meetings. With
seminars, I guess, kind of.
With the 1L class. And so we have to go to those. And so, yeah, I think that your schedule changes a lot, but I try and plan it week by week, I think is how I try and stay on top of it, just going week to week.
Yeah, I had the exact same experience. I bought a paper planner. My old boss, actually, before I started law school, bought me this really nice planner. It was leather bound and everything. I was like, oh, I'm writing everything down. I'm everything's in here, color coded by class. By the 3rd week, I was done.
Yeah.
It was not happening. And I think part of it is, and I think everyone will experience this, you get bombarded with emails. And then there's you planned out your week, but all of a sudden, oh, you got an email for this event that's on Thursday that you want to go to. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden you have to pull out your huge planner out of your bag, be oh, I got to cross off this, and then pencil this in. I've always wanted to say that, pencil this in.
Gosh.
But essentially, it's just so dynamic and so changing. The best thing I found for me eventually was just my computer calendar, just because I always have my computer, I always have my phone. I have an iPhone and a Mac, so like they sync with each other, which was really nice. And I only block out major events. Like I don't go into like I'm gonna eat breakfast from 7:30 to 7:45 and then shower from like 7:45 to 8:15. Like I don't do that. I just plan the big things. When are my classes? When are my events?
I'm just shocked that you revealed to us that you take 30-minute showers.
I do take 30-minute showers.
7:45 to 8:15, like
I
major
take
props to you.
30-minute showers. It's my relaxation time. I just like
It's the only thing that
think
helps you
about my
relax.
life. Yeah, basically.
You relax in law school. 30-minute showers.
There you go, kids. That's the secret. Okay. How do you balance your personal and school life?
Well, I think this question's easier for me because I don't really have a personal life here. Which is depressing to say, but since I moved from out of state, I have only met people that I either work with or go to school with. And so people that I hang out with from law school are typically busy on the weekends, so they don't want to hang out. And then people that I work with don't understand that I'm in law school and can't hang out. So yeah, they're friends at work, and that's pretty much it.
That's one of the things, like, all the friends that you had before law school, this sounds really bad, but you're never going to hang out with them again. Like, it sounds horrible, other than, like, maybe fall break when you're not writing your 1L memo, and maybe, like, Christmas break, because we get about 2 to 3 weeks. It's really sad, but you lose a lot of those connections.
You do.
Just because the only people you see are your other classmates in law school, and then you don't really have time to like plan or drive anywhere, so the only events you go to are with someone, and you're just like, hey, after law school, do you like want to go get a drink, or do you want to go do something after class? So it's rough. Like, yeah. I think a big thing is just letting your friends know that, like being upfront and being like, hey, I'm about to go to law school, like I'll text you, like we can talk over Facebook and stuff, but there's a good chance that I won't have time to go to a lot of the things we were doing.
Well, and that's what I mean too about relaxing over summer, and really take time to spend time with friends. Like there was a point over the summer where I was like, man, I'm out with friends all the time, I'm exhausted, but I was like, there's gonna come a point in time where I can't do this anymore. So I know that every single night hanging out with your buddies and stuff, it might get old, but I promise when you have to go from August all the way until winter break without seeing any of your friends, just hang out with them. It's worth it.
I can't believe you just revealed to us that you have friends. I'm just kidding.
I hate you. Okay, you didn't even talk about the fact that you have a spouse.
Oh yeah,
you're literally married.
I'm married. My husband and I just celebrated our second anniversary in December, and that was really tough because my husband Alec, he worked from 4 to 11 p.m. all of first semester, and then I usually like got up at 7 or whatever and went to school, and I didn't come home until like 3 or 4 when he had already left for work. And I think the biggest thing we had to do was I just had to set apart a day that we would just do something. It didn't have to be big. It could just be like, we're going to watch a movie that night and order pizza, or we're going to take our dogs for a hike when it was still a little bit warmer. But just setting aside time for your significant others, or for your families if you have kids, and just actually like being like, I don't care how behind I am. I don't care like if I have an exam. I don't care what's going on. We're going to do something.
Yeah. I think people don't understand or like really consider how much your mental health can affect how you can do in school and things like that. And if you're neglecting everything that makes you happy, like your friends and family and your dogs and like all of these things, that's not good for you in the long run. Like, sure, you might be able to study a little bit more for a quiz that's coming up or something, but in the long run, you're going to be miserable. And that doesn't work. And
a lot of it, too, like, law school it's a lot of the things that you read are kind of depressing, and you're kind of taught to think pessimistically. So if you don't take those times and all you're doing is being surrounded by how so-and-so got sued because of this, this, and this, or we're taking a criminal law class right now, and some of the things are very descriptive and just very negative. And so if you don't take time for yourself and you're surrounded by that negativity the whole time, it's just, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be happy. And if you're not going to be either of those things, why are you going to law school?
And people say that lawyers are sad enough as is. So
it's a stressful job.
Don't make it any worse than it needs to be. Like, you can afford to take take it one night a week or something to hang out with your spouse or something like that. You don't need to.
And if you don't have a spouse, even to just like chill and just like watch Netflix, like don't study that night, watch Netflix, take yourself out to dinner, go shopping, do something. Give
yourself a night off.
Life.
A night off is okay. That's fine.
Yeah. The other thing, develop a caffeine addiction. That's how I balance.
With monsters right now.
Yeah, no, seriously. Caffeine.
Yeah.
Like, buy coffee. Monsters are going to be your best friend.
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. What's it like? So this one's for Hayley. I grew up my entire life in Utah, and I don't know much about this. So I'm going to ask you, what's it like moving to another state for school?
The worst. I'm totally kidding. I love California through and through. I want to go back when I'm done with school. I love it 100%. Moving to Utah has been great. The only problem that I have is the cold. But my recommendation for moving from out of state, if you're going to be going to school, is move with enough time to let yourself get settled before school starts. I think that if I had it to do over again, I probably would give myself like an extra week or so just to kind of get relaxed and into it, because as soon as I moved here the weekend right before orientation. And so I had no time to get settled, no time to like unpack and kind of relax and get used to my new environment. It was like, move here, move your boxes in, boom, time to start school. And so that would be my recommendation. If you're moving from out of state somewhere, give yourself some time to settle down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have like a spouse or a family or something like that. Yeah. You have to relocate everyone. Definitely give yourself some time to do that. Mm-hmm. I think it's important. All right, guys. So we were trying to record this to put up on YouTube, and come to find out 20 minutes or so into this podcast that the camera was only recording for like 41 seconds. I don't know why my camera does that. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out later. So this episode, not going to be on YouTube. Future episodes, going to be on the YouTube. All right.
On the tube.
On the boob tube. All right.
All right. Next question. What is it like? So again, this one's for Hayley. I don't work during school. Hayley does. What is it like to work during school?
Don't.
Just don't.
The reason that I got a job was, again, because I moved here and I didn't have family, friends, anything like that. And so that was kind of my outlet. And so I work at a restaurant. I'm a server there, and I only work a couple nights a week. And that's kind of my relaxation time. I know that probably sounds stupid to say that going to work is relaxing, but in a sense that's like my release of not having to think about law school, not having to think about stress or anything like that. I just get to go there, meet new people, meet some friends at work, relax, and then come home and it's kind of like, okay, I had my fun and now I have to focus again. And it doesn't help that I'm making a little bit of money while I'm, having quote unquote fun. So,
yeah, that's definitely the benefit. Okay. Hayley, what is it like trying to date during law school?
I'm cracking up at this question because me trying to date at any point in time is an absolute train wreck. I am single and 100% ready to mingle. However, I've kind of given up on the idea of dating. Especially here. And trust me, like, I went back home and I met a guy when I was back home and I was all, oh, I didn't tell you about this.
You didn't?
No. So I went back home, met a guy. My New Year's kiss was this guy. Oh, yes.
You didn't tell me you had a New Year's kiss.
I know. Good stuff. First time he kissed me, New Year's. It was cute. But yeah, even situations like that. Damn, it's going to suck if he hears this. But it's like, that's hard. That's hard to do if he's all the way back home and I'm here. I mean, that's a hard situation to be in. So I was like, probably not going to happen. But, it is what it is. Thanks for being my New Year's kiss. You're great. Have a good one. Aww. But that's it. And I feel like you lucked out, man. I should have gotten married before I started law school. It's a good idea.
Yeah, but I'm also gay in Utah, and that's a whole nother conversation that we don't have time for. For those of you that don't know, Utah is a very, very Republican, very conservative state, and there's kind of like this bubble in Salt Lake City, which is the capital. So it's like a metropolitan area, and they generally are more liberal. But Utah as a whole, outside of like the metropolitan areas, is very rural, very conservative, very Republican. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Chilling and stuff like that, you're good.
My question, now that you started, how did you meet this mystery man?
I'll give you a choice. You get 3 choices.
Okay.
See if you can guess.
All right.
In person, on a dating app, through a friend.
Through a friend.
On a dating app. I met him on Tinder.
Oh, Tinder. Why don't you try Tinder here?
okay, for the same reason that I think that guys aren't interested in me because they all look the same, all guys here kind of look the same. Kinda.
That's fair. We don't have a lot of diversity in Utah.
Yeah, and so...
But Salt Lake City's a little different.
That's what you're into. I mean, low-key, there's a cute guy in our class that I'm like...
There is.
Hello. But, again, probably not his type, so, whatever.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But dating apps are hard when you're busy. Because you have to, put in the time to have conversations with people and really, work at getting to know them in order to meet up with them.
So, Hayley, what you're saying is you can't send text messages back and forth?
No, it's hard on dating apps because you're trying to get to know someone. After you've met someone, it's easier to text and, because you already know that person. But if you're trying to get to know someone in order to go out with them, that's hard to do while you're super, super busy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's tough.
Well, I think you should keep trying. All right.
Cute guy in my class. Call me.
Okay, next. Who is your favorite professor and why? And as I was thinking about this question, I think maybe instead of using actual names, just what they teach, just because some of our listeners might not know who the professors are. So it's not going to do much for them.
All right, you go first.
Okay, for mine, it was my criminal procedure civil procedure, excuse me.
Excuse me, haven't taken that yet.
My civil procedure professor from last year, he is...
From our first semester last year.
From our first semester, yeah. From last year, our first semester. I think the biggest thing for me is that he's a very funny guy. He has a lot of energy. And if some of you are in law school, you already know. And if not, you'll soon get to know. Civil procedure's really dry. It's super, it's very just how to file a lawsuit, how to respond to one, what motions you can make, how discovery works. Etc. It's basically just point A to the finish of a lawsuit. And so it's very dry. The cases are not exciting. They're not sexy like some of our professors like to say. They're just boring. It's really boring. And so I think that you need a professor that's super high upbeat, super high energy. And this professor was that. He was just super energetic. And he gave me his favorite student award. So
Christian's a little biased, is what he's trying to say.
I will fully disclose. He did give me an award.
Outstanding civil procedure student.
Yeah, yeah, I did get the award for outstanding performance. But hey, not to brag.
Okay, so because that professor is also my favorite from first semester, I will tell you about my favorite professor from second semester, just so that we change it up a little bit. Because I think that my favorite professor from second semester is very different personality-wise from our Civ Pro teacher. So my favorite teacher this semester is our con law professor. And she's the greatest woman in the world. I aspire to be her.
Let me butt in. She reminds me of Hayley 20 years from now. She really does.
She is so cute. She's this cute little redhead and reminds me of Miss Frizzle. Is that her name? The lady from Magic School Bus. Where she just is so hyped all the time. We had to have a makeup class on a Tuesday and she's all, Taco Tuesday, everyone. And the first Wednesday of class brought everyone camel cookies for hump day. Yeah. Just the cutest person in the world. But so obviously that's super fun and I love that side of her. But also I think that con law can kind of be one of those things that's a little bit chunky to get through and can be kind of dry at times. And I think that she's super good at explaining things.
Yeah.
When it gets a little tricky and it gets a little hard to wade through, I think that she's really, really good at making things clear. And I appreciate that. And I like that a lot about her.
Yeah, I like her too. I think a big thing with professors is... we say we talk about their personalities and people are oh, well, I don't care about that. But you will because professors have a ton of connections. They have a ton of experience and being able or feeling you can just go up to a professor and talk to them is really, really big. There are some professors that are kind of intimidating because of their resumes and then their personalities don't help them. I'm sure you know which professor I'm thinking of from first semester. And it's just hard because you don't want to go to that person and be hey, would you be a reference for me or would you do this and that? So I think professor personality is super important.
And it matters too because their personality determines how their class is structured.
Yeah.
And that totally impacts their teaching style, the way that they run the class and your ability to feel comfortable engaging in class discourse and things like that. So I think that, personality is huge when it comes to professors. I didn't care much even in my undergrad, but definitely now I care.
You also spend a lot more time with them in a smaller class on a more personal level than your undergrad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next question. What is the most awkward thing that happened in law school? So Hayley told me that something happened this week that she hadn't told me yet, and so I am extraordinarily curious.
Okay.
So you're gonna go first.
So there is a gym on campus, and I've started going to the gym in the mornings. And then there is
The Student Life Center?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, super convenient and bougie, our law school has showers in the law building. And so I went to the gym on Thursday morning and I was like, ooh, yeah, I get my fitness in. Like, oh, I feel so great. Went back. I was like, I'm going to take a shower, be all nice and fresh for cute boy in class. Like, it's going to be lovely. Get all the way done with my shower. I realize I don't have a towel. So I'm standing in this room, naked and wet. And I was like, how do I solve this problem? Well, there was a hand dryer.
No.
In the locker room. And I was like, no one else is in here. Do I think that I have enough time to go stand under this hand dryer and dry myself off? And I was like, I have no other options. Here I go. So just imagine me, tall, naked.
I don't want to, but okay.
Under a hand dryer, trying to dry myself off, and I hear people, because the locker room part is separated from the bathroom part, so I hear people coming into the bathroom, and every single time I'm terrified that they're gonna walk into the locker room, so I'm always like, and I would like cover myself up really quick, and then, okay, they're just going to the bathroom, cool, they're not gonna come in here, and then I hear someone else, and I'm like, yeah, it was traumatic.
Oh my god.
So that was incredibly awkward. And then I like walked out and I'm like soaking, well, because I couldn't dry off all the way. It's a hand dryer. So I walk out and I'm like wearing sweats and I was like, man, I'm like a wet dog right now. It's like, this is an epic fail.
Oh, that's too funny.
So that was my experience.
I don't think I've had an awkward thing happen to me so far in law school.
That's true. Lucky.
I definitely haven't had to dry off from a shower under a hand dryer. I don't think I have an awkward thing, so I'm just gonna skip
that one. You don't have anything awkward that's happened?
No, because I don't spend that much time at the law school.
That's fair.
So, like, because I'm married, like, I try to go home right after school to see my husband for a bit and then study for the rest of the day. So I don't spend too much time at the law school.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah, I just can't think of anything.
Right,
okay, so we're going to move on. What stereotypes about law school that you heard before starting law school are not true? I'll start this time because I feel like you've been starting all of these. I think the biggest thing is like the whole notion that law school is like so cutthroat. Legally Blonde and all these movies, they kind of make it sound like, oh my gosh, like everyone hates everyone. Everyone's like ripping pages out of books, so people don't do that. An undergraduate professor actually told me that. He's like, yeah, if you go to law school, like kids rip pages out of books. And I guess we shouldn't say kids because we're all adults now, but people rip pages out of books so that other people can't read them at the library. And I was like, holy crap. And I think a lot of it is that it's competitive. If you haven't started law school again, you're ranked according to your class, and law school is super competitive to get into in the first place, so everyone that's there has been like a straight A student their whole life, and so it's very competitive because then you get your grades and you might have like a 3.5 GPA, but you might be the 50th person in your class with that GPA, and so it's very competitive. But that turned out to not be true. Like, I think when humans suffer together, they get close. And so I found that almost everyone in our class is just super nice. They're super helpful. If you need help, they're willing to help you. If you need, like, notes from a class you missed or you just don't understand a concept and you know someone in your class that does, like, I don't feel there's really any animosity at all, just in general, in our class.
I completely agree. It makes me wonder, too, if maybe that's based on the fact that maybe we're not in an Ivy League or something like that. And maybe,
like a Harvard or Yale.
That situation could be different. But I 100% agree. Like, not the case at all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair characterization. Do you have any stereotypes that you heard about law school?
No, I think that's pretty much the biggest one that I thought was just totally wrong. Like, there are things that I heard where I don't think are as severe as others. Like, I think another one of your questions was about the Socratic method. We could probably talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to segue into that.
We read a book before we started school that basically is like getting y'all prepped for law school and what you need to know.
One hell of a ride.
And it's like, oh my gosh, the Socratic method makes people nervous and people are going to have like mental breakdowns because it's so high stress and so much pressure on you and this and that. And I really don't think that it's true. I think that, first of all, each class is totally different. So there are some professors who will call on you randomly and like you're on call that day. And for example, we had a professor our first semester who picked 2 people each day and each person was assigned one of the cases and just had to go for it. Another professor drew names out of a cup. Like another professor
went straight in a line, so
exactly.
Just you were seated and he just kept going, so everyone knew when they were coming.
Yeah, so I think that people try and psych you out and think about it like super and make it seem like it's some awful thing, and it's really not. And honestly, you don't remember what other people said. So if you give a crappy answer one day, first of all, no one's going to say anything to you about it. Second of all, most likely someone's going to come up to you after class and be like, hey, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Every single time I've spoken in class, someone's been like, Hayley, you did such a good job. And so, again.
I love those people. Shout out to those people, honestly.
Like, I know we're not supposed to, like, throw names out there, but Taylor is so good about that.
Yeah.
Like, she comes up to me every time and is like, hey, Hayley, you did great. And I'm all, girl,
I know,
thank you.
super nice. So is Madison.
Yeah. And so, I think that, people get so worried that if they say something wrong, that people are going to remember it forever. But I want to be like, dude, you won't even remember your answer tomorrow. No one else is going to remember it either.
Yeah. And I think, like, just coming into law school, you don't know what to expect. So you're just, like, terrified of, like, oh, am I going to look dumb in front of people? Let me just say, no one understands what the hell you're reading. Like, really, no one does. If it's super dense and complex for you when you're reading it, it's probably super dense and complex for like 90% of the class. You're always going to have those 1 or 2 kids that certain things come to naturally. But for a lot of people, it's tough. Like, it's hard stuff. It's your first semester. People don't know how to brief cases, how to outline a course, what you're supposed to be reading for in this 20-page opinion about the definition of the word chicken. Like, it's just examples like that really everyone is in the same boat, which I think goes back to, like, we're all suffering together.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't stress about it. If you do have a professor that calls on you, like, you'll be fine. No one cares. Everyone's so worried about, like, trying not to look dumb themselves that they don't really care who else looks dumb. I can't name one single person that I, like, remember, like, oh, that person had a horrible answer in class that day. I don't care. I don't have time to care.
Exactly. Well, and because the subject matter is so hard that when someone gives maybe an answer that's not entirely correct, you might not even know that it's not correct.
Exactly.
There's some things that I hear and I'm all, is that right? I'm like, I don't
that sounds right. Yeah. And then the professor's like, no, that's not right. And you're like, oh, yeah, I thought that was right too.
Exactly. So
that's the other thing. You're like taking one for a team. So everyone kind of like no one is going to be mean to you because you said the wrong thing. But by doing that, the professor is actually correcting, being like, no, it's actually like this. And everyone's kind of thankful because a lot of people are like, oh, I was thinking the same thing and it's not right. So thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
I think that definitely not as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
No, you'll all survive. And a lot of professors don't even use straight Socratic anymore. Like, I think we had one and it was like modified because he just went in a row. So the whole like being cold called like in Legally Blonde and not knowing the answer, and that old lady professor is like, well, why don't you come back and you're prepared? Does not happen. Is not like true. Chill. You'll survive.
You'll be fine.
With that being said, make sure you read, because professors can tell when you're like read and don't understand the material or had a hard time understanding the material, and then you just straight up did not read. Exactly. Professors know, and everyone knows.
Yeah, and there's a strong difference, and that's maybe one thing that other students will get annoyed about. Because there were some times when you could tell they just didn't read, and so what should take 2 minutes to explain the fact pattern of some case takes like 20.
Because they just start like reading out of the book.
Exactly, and so that's a little frustrating.
That's the thing. Not being prepared, everyone can tell on, but just not understanding something, no one really cares.
Exactly.
So, okay, what is your least favorite class and why?
That's hard. Are we talking
For
subject matter? Are we talking...
There's the why you get to explain. If there was one, all the classes that we've taken.
Easy for you, you go first,
okay.
and I'll think about mine.
For me, it's criminal law. And I actually didn't realize that until this week. So I've never been a fan of criminal law. I've never wanted to be a prosecutor or defender. I know I'm not built for that. It's just not my thing. I like money and corporations and seeing Apple sue Samsung and vice versa. Like, that's just my thing. This week in class, and I won't go too graphic, but we had a case about a minor who was raped and killed in California. The same year I was born, actually, about 20 years ago. And it struck a nerve with me. And I kind of decided, we're only having to read a case. The case was super graphic in detail. Like, it told us the details of everything and how it happened. And I was thinking, this is very difficult for me to read, and I couldn't imagine even more being like a prosecutor or a defense attorney, and having to like look at pictures of what happened or videos, security footage, take like testimony from the mothers and things like that. It just the material for me is just very difficult to read with, and just I mentally I have a hard time being okay with some of the things that happen. And like, I have great respect for prosecutors and defense attorneys. They obviously have their roles. They serve very important roles in the context of criminal justice, but it's not for me. It's not something my mind is capable of handling, especially day in, day out as a career.
Yeah. I agree. I think that for me, I 100% know that that's not the area of law that I want to go into, because I agree it's too sad for me. But I think that at least that class is interesting in a sense that because I feel for the cases and feel for the facts and things like that, it makes it interesting to me. So I'd probably have to say that my least favorite class is either contracts or property, just because the subject matter is so dry and so boring.
Property, especially for me this semester.
Oh my gosh. Anything that has to do with, oh, well, this person was sitting there for 10 years and then someone else sat on the land. And it's just it's too much. It's just too dry. And anything that has to do with taxes and all of that getting roped in there too, it just...
Those are like the cases you see on movies that are like, oh, this case was lost because of the definition of the word is.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. Like, it's that super boring stuff that people think of when they think of lawyers.
Yeah, so that is probably those two. I just love our contracts professor, but the subject matter was just rough, like very dry.
For me, contracts was rough. For me, property law is even rougher just because of that. And it's one of those jobs where if you're a property lawyer, a lot of what you're going to doing is like writing wills and stuff, and it's just really kind of like paper pushery.
Yeah.
And I guess for some people that's fine. For me, I want to be in a courtroom. I want to be litigating. I want to be arguing and presenting my argument before a judge. And I'm a competitive person, so I want to win. I don't want to just sit there and like draft a contract and then 20 years later find out that I like wrote the wrong word and the company got sued for it. Like, it's just boring to me.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
I agree. Okay. We've got two more things.
Okay.
Two more questions. What do you like the most about law school?
I guess I'll give something that's a bit more individual to me. I think that being where I'm from Bakersfield, which is in the Central Valley in California, and no shade at people in Bakersfield, but the literacy rate is not very high, and people kind of refer to it as a brain drain in a sense that people that are pursuing higher education tend to leave. And so I have loved the most being surrounded by like-minded people, like people that are all so motivated and so ambitious and have such big dreams and such big aspirations. Like, I'm not used to being surrounded by people like that at all. Like, you talk to people anywhere in law school and they're like, oh, I want to go do this. I'm going to be the president someday. I'm going to be the attorney general. Like,
and they're already somewhat established too. Like, you have people with really impressive resumes.
Like, someone has a PhD already. Things like that.
There's someone in our class that knows like 4 languages. Yeah. We have multiple like former service members, both for the United States. We have one guy who I think was British Royal Army or British Royal Navy.
We've got you, 21 years old in law school.
Yeah.
Like, just people like that where you can tell that everyone is so focused on something big. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Like, that has by far been my favorite part, is being surrounded by people who are all so hyped about something.
And I think it encourages you to succeed, because when you're in an atmosphere where A, everyone is nice and wants to help each other, and 2, you're all really driven, you help each other.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, it kind of motivates yourself to do the best you can because you know that all your peers are doing it too.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, not in like a, oh, I feel lame because I'm not doing this internship, but more of a like, I just want to do better, and these people are here encouraging me.
Exactly.
So I'd agree. That atmosphere is really, really cool. But to kind of go back to yours a little bit, it's also different going to grad school from your undergraduate, because even in your undergraduate, we all had those people that were there either just because they played athletics and they had to take classes, or, you know, they were just there and they were coasting by. Or you could tell those people that were in like frats or sororities, and nothing against frats or sororities, because you have some people in those that are incredibly smart and determined. But let's be honest, you also have people that are there just to party, just to have a good time. And law school's not like that. Even the University of Utah, which is not like an Ivy League school ranked by any means, but it's still, every law school is extremely competitive. We have about 100 people in our class and over 900 applied. And so everyone that's there, they're straight A students, they're driven, they have had careers or they plan on having careers, they have high aspirations, and just the general feel of it feels much more prestigious, much more, I don't know, like much more, again, it just drives you to succeed. The biggest thing for me, I think, is that I liked how hard it was. And I'm kind of conflicted because it sucks at times, to be completely honest. You just spend a lot of your time reading, and some of the stuff's not the sexiest. And I'm not exaggerating. We had to read like a 20-page opinion on the definition of the word chicken. If you don't believe me, the case is called Fregaliment versus something. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. But it's so satisfying when you understand something. And in civil procedure last semester, we had to go and watch a federal district court judge. We have the 10th Circuit. Well, no, it's not the 10th Circuit. It's the Utah District Court for the federal government. We have it here in Salt Lake City. And we all had to go at least once a semester and watch. And it's so satisfying to sit in a hearing and understand what the attorneys and the judges are doing. Like understanding, oh, this motion works like this. Now he's going to have to present an argument. Or, oh, he presented this motion and this is how we're going to go forward. Or, oh, the judge is ruling on this. It's just really satisfying to understand what's going on. And so even though it's really difficult and it sucks, I just think it's incredibly satisfying.
I agree. Like, it's cool being able to see that the time you're spending working at it, like, it's actually applicable. Like, you can actually take what you've learned and apply it to something and see it happening. It's like, my undergraduate degree is in biology. Do I ever see that applied anywhere? No. Yeah. But being able to take a class, that class was one semester, and being able to walk into a courtroom and understand, like, I 100% agree. It's super, super fulfilling. The one downside, it ruins movies for you. Oh, that's completely. True. Like, you'll watch a movie and you'll just be sitting there and you're like, that's illegal. That's illegal. If it's a movie that involves like courtrooms, you'll be like, that's not how that motion works. Like, there wouldn't be argument. You just submit a paper and the judge lets you know if he approves it or not. Yeah. So it like ruins life for you in a sense, because all you think about is the law and how I hear stories all the time in the news and I'm all, I wonder if those people are going to sue. Or I'm the same thing. Yeah. I wonder if they could sue. Do they have standing? Do they have jurisdiction? You'll have dreams about it. Yeah, it's great. It's like, dreams. Oh, I dream about torts cases. Yeah. Torts, like, for those of you who don't know, are like civil lawsuits. Yeah, like making up scenarios in my head. I'm all, so theoretically, if this were to happen, and it's like, it's like a poison in a sense. Exactly. It really is. Will invade your brain for sure. And then, like, not even just torts, but like contracts. Like, I'll be like signing up for like a credit card or something. I'll be reading the contract and I'm like, if I default on this, how would they sue me? In which state? Like, it really changes your whole perspective on everything. Yeah. Okay. And then, I guess we kind of merged the two into one. What do you like about law school and what surprised you the most about law school? Okay. Which one did we answer? we answered what we like the most. What surprised you? I think probably how entertaining the teachers are. I said this when I first started. The teachers that I had during my undergrad degree were just, I don't know, maybe if it was the subject matter or what, but they were just very dry. Mm-hmm. Like, their personalities were dry, so it almost made the subject matter even more dry. Well, and a lot of them were adjuncts too, so they weren't even like actual professors. Exactly. And so coming here and having people that are just in love with what they're teaching and are so excited to be teaching all of these 1Ls who are fresh into law school and are super excited too. Like, I think it's a good vibe. Like, I love the fact that their teachers, like our crim law professor will come up to us at the beginning of class and just wants to talk about our lives or what he's doing in his life and wants to just have a chat. And I'm like, that's so cool to me. I've never had that before, and I love that. That surprises me so much because I never saw that before, so I didn't expect it. And so the fact that that's the way that it is, I love it. Like, that's been a huge surprise and a huge highlight.
I think that was a big thing for me is how experienced the professors are. And for the same reason, when you're in your undergrad, I mean, no offense to those undergrad professors out there. We love you. We need you. But let's be honest. A lot of them are just like grad students. They're teaching like intro classes. A lot of them, you know, like they have a degree and they're knowledgeable.
That train is literally overpowering you.
Oh, so there is a train passing nearby.
You know what? I say just go for it. Just keep chatting.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Why not? Sorry, guys.
So I'll just move closer to the mic. But essentially, you know, your undergrad professors, they have degrees. They know what they're talking about. But that's kind of like it in some cases. And with your law professors, I'm sure no matter what university you go to, they'll have like 20 years of litigation experience. One of our professors worked for the State Department. Another one like a lot of them still currently have their own firms or are still working. They're renowned. They've had articles published. One of our professors here at the University of Utah was like all over CNN when he wrote an article about Trump University and the fraud involved in that case.
He's like somehow involved with the Obamas, and so we joked. So we were like, yeah, he's probably like grading our final exams, like drinking some wine with Michelle, joking about how terrible they were.
We joke about it all the time because he worked, I think it was the State Department, but he essentially worked in the Obama administration as an attorney. And so we always make jokes about how like
he's going to hang out with the Obamas
exactly,
for break.
Yeah, he doesn't have time for our questions because he's got to call Obama and like fill him in.
In Park City together.
So we always make jokes, but really, like, your professors are so renowned, and we have professors that write books. The University of Utah is actually one of the top law schools in the country for environmental law, and our civil procedure professor, I believe, like, wrote a book. Like, they're widely renowned. Our criminal law professor spent like 20 years working in counterterrorism in Israel. Like, just things like that. Like, they know what they're doing and they have experience. So you actually feel like, okay, these people know what they're talking about. I'm gaining a quality education. It still sucks I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars, but at least I'm getting what I'm paying for.
That's true.
Which surprised me a lot.
So speaking of all these cool people, though, I feel like we can wrap it up with saying this. I'm hoping that we'll get to interview some of our professors and let you guys hear some of the stories that they have to tell, because he's not kidding when he says these people are impressive.
Yeah.
Super, super impressive.
Yeah.
And
our con law professor clerked for Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female on the Supreme Court.
Her son had his birthday cake made by her.
Yeah. The former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court made this professor's kid's birthday cake.
Yeah. And so it's like, they've got some super cool stories, and I would love to be able to sit down and have them sit down with us. So
hopefully we'll get to do that sometime on one of these later episodes.
Yeah. So I think that wraps that up.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed first episode of Lawless. This is super exciting. I'm hyped. Maybe next time we'll get the camera to work. We'll have video to go along with it.
So you guys can leave comments and stuff.
Talk crap. But make sure you give us like 5-star rating, because, you know, we deserve 5 stars.
Absolutely. We always do.
Exactly.
We're fabulous.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.